And then I had a lens that was that big. And not only the lens is that big here, but the lens was really that big. It was massive. Welcome to the Zen Properties Podcast, a podcast about building long-term wealth and cash-flowing businesses through real estate. Dive into interviews with industry legends, content packed with actionable tips and relaxed banter. We are Mac and Maggie Daring. Please enjoy the show. Hi guys, what's up? This is Mac from Zen Properties Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in again. It's absolutely amazing to have you here. Appreciate you as always. Alrighty, in today's episode, I'll be talking about something a little bit unusual for this platform. And first of all, it will be just me, okay? We won't have Maggie here today because I'm talking about the real estate photography, and Maggie is really into photographing other people and spaces, like beautiful spaces. So for example, when we were on around the world trip after we graduated, we were carrying like 20 kilos backpacks each. It was like, 7 months trip on a budget with big ass backpacks on our backs. And then on my backpack, I had her camera, like a big Pentax piece of shit camera. And then I had a lens that was that big. And not only the lens is that big here, but the lens was really that big. It was massive. It was like a tele lens of, like 120 or 150 mil zoom, which is, smashing. It's great if you want to grab people's portraits when you're traveling through Asia. So they're not scared of you because they don't even see you. You're 50 meters away and you're grabbing like a great quality close-ups of spaces, people, objects, and it looks absolutely amazing. But it was heavy as shit, right? And I also had like a small lens, and I had a medium lens, and I had a small tripod, and I had a big tripod. I had all this fucking shit. So good news for real estate photography, you don't need any of that, okay? So all these expensive cameras, you can sell them on eBay, like super expensive lenses, you can sell them on eBay because, remember, you're not doing crazy stuff. You're not doing weddings. You're not doing low light photography. You are not doing portraits from 50 meters away. All you're doing is a well-lit spaces that are typically rectangular, and you know exactly what to expect. You can even work on your light conditions. So your light is always perfect or close to perfect. You would hope for some sunshine, but sometimes you don't have sunshine, so you have your artificial lights with you, and you can create an environment that really works for your real estate photography. Okay, so you might ask a question like, Mac, you are an entrepreneur, you are thinking to outsource the shit out of your business, you want to spend more time doing things that really matter. And is a photography one of those things, like a high value task that you would consider doing for a long period of time? And the answer to that question is no. I don't think photography is a high value task. I do it only because I enjoy it still. And the second reason to it is I've tried like 5 different photographers. I was paying them shitloads of money. So first photographers that I was paying to grab my service accommodation portfolio pictures was like artists that are expensive. They're like $1,500 per property. They were very good, but they had their certain way of doing things, not the Airbnb way of doing things where you're after light, inviting, beautiful pictures that are catching your attention when you scroll through the wall full of different properties that you're competing against. We had Alice, that she was absolutely amazing, technically absolutely spot on, expensive equipment. She was spending all day on site. I actually learned fuckloads from her and from her pictures, but price was a lot for cheaper projects. And the end result, she was not using any light at all. She was only relying on the real light from the outside. And some spaces, they are just not designed to be lit up by the real light from the outside. And generally, those pictures were rather dramatic and probably were not capturing the right attention. So she had to go. Then we had recommended 2 or 3 more photographers from our friends doing Airbnbs, and they were spending 1 hour on site or 30 minutes on site. How the fuck can you capture the beauty of the property in 30 minutes? So first of all, they were like not using tripods. So I saw them on site. They were like walking around with a DSLR and not doing HDR. So they were just grabbing like one picture of every space and moving on. And they were like bam, 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 bam. It was so fast and so rushed. And then you had the post-prod done on the same day or on the following day. Yes, I appreciate the speedy resolution of everything, and I appreciate pictures are very important, but how the fuck is it possible to do a post-prod of, I don't know, 100 pictures in a few hours? I'm using AI tools today that they didn't have back in the day. I'm very fast at post-production of the pictures. I'm doing batch processing of some or most of these pictures, and it still takes me at least a day in post-production. And I'm capturing, for typical like 3-4 bedroom house, I will capture probably like 1,000 pictures on site, and I'm doing HDRs. So I need to carefully position my camera on a tripod and do 5 pictures at different exposures. I'll be diving into that in a second. And then I'm stitching together these pictures. So everything that was underexposed, like, black and dark and uninviting, it looks good. And everything that was overexposed, like, looking through the window, for example, or at the light source, it looks typically it's white, it's like over white, it's overexposed. I take all those pictures, underexposed, overexposed, stitching them together into a HDR, and that looks absolutely smashing. And it also doesn't require an expensive equipment. It doesn't require a skill set around artificial lights, flashlights. I don't give a flying shit about any of that, because HDR and a decent-ish camera and very good lens, but not, extremely expensive, just a very good lens is all you need. Hell, even an iPhone today is probably good enough for most. And I will be showing you some demos. So this podcast will be the first one where I share my screen, okay? So first of all, when you started the Zen Properties podcast, I thought, yeah, fuck it, let's make it audio only. So it's nice and simple, no post-production. Everything is like, super, super simple, because we are busy as crap, right? So I don't want to spend too much time in post-prod. But we've decided to go for a video podcast from day one, and I absolutely love it. So we're already thinking about upgrading our podcast space and doing crazy shit here. Yeah. And now I'm thinking, maybe we should start like giving you more visual guidance, because, property is quite visual. So sometimes we will be sharing screens with us, between me and Maggie, and we'll be sharing screens with our guests. So you can see it as well. I will try to be as descriptive as possible for those of you who are tuning in audio only. You're not missing out that much, but probably the best platform to watch it is our website or YouTube. Okay, so zenproperties.uk or YouTube is probably the best experience currently, especially for this podcast. Okay, so first of all, let me show you why I have decided to become a professional real estate photographer. Actually, I shouldn't be calling myself a professional real estate photographer. I'm just like a very motivated mofo. So when I discovered that most of the photographers out there, they're absolutely shit. They cannot take a good picture. They don't know how the geometry of taking pictures should work. They don't know how to make like the best scene, how to look through the lens and just see what needs to be pictured. They were so shit, and the end result was so disappointing, or very expensive, or both at the same time, that I've just decided to learn it myself. How difficult can it be? So I started with 5 different books about real estate photography. They were absolutely amazing. Done some audiobooks. So when I was driving between real estates, especially in Rent to SA world, when we were like launching every month for some time last year, I had a lot of time in the car, so I've done all these books in there, and then I was reading in the evening, doing some YouTubes, and I was working with ChatGPT quite a lot as well to answer my specific questions. So something that wasn't super clear in my mind, I was tackling head on with YouTube's, Google's, Gemini's, and ChatGPT's. So I pretty much answered all my questions to the point where I'm quite fast on site now, and I'm not a professional, so for those of you who are professionals that use super professional language, please don't hate me. All this guide is 100% practical, and everything that I'm going to show you is based on my experience, and you will see my pictures and you will be the judge. So let's start with sharing my screen quickly. I've prepared a very, very, very beautiful thingy here where I can share my screen with a single press of a button. And let me show you a few pictures. Let's maybe start there. So look at that. This is the professionally taken picture, okay, of one of our properties. Look at the colors. It's washed out. It's overexposed. Everything outside of the room through the window is like, it's white, uninviting. The white balance is shit. It looks yellow. The colors are lost. And it simply is a crap photo. Geometry in this photo is not too bad, so we can see the straight lines, so well done as a shot of the hand, but generally it's shit. Another photo from the same photographer, it's, yeah, so geometry of this photo is correct-ish, but it looks so bad, like no filters. We have a lot of light being reflected off the walls. It looks absolutely shit. Or this one, it's like the story continues, right? So let me, I don't know, open up one of those, I don't know, the first one, okay? Let it be the first one. So it stays on the screen. And now let me show you the same pictures from this property or from like a similar property captured by us. Okay, so look at that. On the right-hand side, you can see the same picture done with like a cheaper camera, way cheaper camera, and a cheaper lens, still very good, but by cheaper, I mean my equipment is worth maybe £1,000. Second-hand, it's 6 years old, okay, or 7 years old body. It's nothing too crazy, but it's enough. And you can see the colors are amazing. They are popping out, but they are not washed out, but they're not oversaturated at the same time. It's not too dark, it's not too light, it's just fucking perfect, okay? Let's move on. This shot. So look at this, like the details are amazing. It's soft in front, it's soft in the back. I have focus on the pillow. It just looks quality. It screams quality. This one, like look, I have a fake plant in front of me, shooting from behind it. It's properly out of zoom because I have a good lens with f0 1.7, I think I had, or 1.4 at that time, like a more expensive lens that I'm using now. And yeah, colors, everything is correct, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but like compare this to pictures. It's beyond comparison. And that's just one room. Let me give you a few more examples of what you can expect from a professional out there these days. So this is one of our biggest properties. How uninviting and shit it looks. It's unbelievable. Or this, like, you know, the artificial Netflix, this triggers me a lot. It's like, come on, so bad. Look at the white balance. Look at the slides. This is our like a big feature in the dining room. It should look spot on, and it looks absolute dog shit. Now let's leave one of those pictures on the side of the screen, and I will show you living room done by us. So look at this. Like compare. Like the colors and the composition is absolutely different, on a different level. Absolutely different. Like, look, on the left-hand side, we'll be talking about it a little bit more. You can see like two walls, this one and this one. This wall, I'm not sure if it's a wall, so you can't even see the size of the room. It's like cheating a little bit. You should always see at least three walls. So one wall on the far end, one wall on the other end, and one wall like closer to you. So 3 walls rule. You need to have 3 walls in order to not cheat to people, so they can understand how big or how small the space is. Of course, the wider lens will make the space look bigger, but yeah, be reasonable. Look at that. Yep. Can you see a comparison between left and right? I think it's staggering. It's staggering. Okay, one more. Monowood, professional pictures. Look, oh my God, I think this is my favorite. I had a guy that came over at night to one of our properties and said, it really doesn't matter that there is no sunshine out there. We don't need natural light. All you need is like, you know, a light source, and I will make it work. Does it work in your opinion? Like what the crap? There is no color. There is no depth. There is absolutely no geometry. He was like shooting from the hand. It looks amateur. This is a different photographer. Same one as the first examples, with correct geometry, but like, you know, fake sky done as a fucking gradient. It looks like a paint job done in Microsoft Paint in 1987, you know? My God, it's offensive. It is offensive. Okay, let's compare to some of our shots. So this one goes to the left, and now this is ours. So yeah, please compare. Can you see the difference in colors? Can you see the difference in contrast? Can you see the difference in white balance and general light quality and the composition of these pictures? Like this is shot with my current camera, which is Lumix BGH 5, which is a cheap one. It's a good vlogging camera as well. I don't think it matters too much these days when you have iPhones in your pocket for video, but for pictures it's good. It's cheap-ish. It's accessible on the market. You can find secondhand accessories to it. It's just simple. It's just simple. But look at this beautiful picture versus this ugly piece of shit. It's absolutely unbelievable what you can achieve with a little bit of goodwill. These peaks are selling our properties like fresh bread, right? Like imagine this, like I don't know, like a little French town or a little Italian town with the bakery selling like fresh croissants or whatever. Everyone wants to buy them, and everyone wants to stay in a property that looks like this. No one wants to stay in a property that looks like this. This is fucking offensive. Okay, I think that's enough of showing you the comparison, like what is different between professional versus us being amateurs, and let's continue discussing why and how to make it work and look better. Okay. Whew. There you go. My God, it's like I'm a little bit, I don't know, getting nervous when I'm talking about these things because it's so bad. Okay, so guys, like the process for me for pretty much everything that we do is to first create a process ourselves. So I have an idea of like, let's say I want to do a real estate photography. And I need to have an idea about how to do it, how to achieve it. I need to understand it myself first. So I will trail it. I will probably buy a camera or two. I will learn from the professionals. I want to implement it myself to understand what I need to expect from my team in the future. I will systemize it. So I will write down the entire process about how to approach doing professional photography on site, in my sites, with a typical real estate photography kit. What kit do you need? How do you use it? How do you post-prod these pictures? Everything that I'm building with an intention to outsource in the future. And I don't only do that with real estate photography. I do that with everything in business. Okay, so let's now discuss quickly a phone versus a DSLR. So practical guide, a few practical things here. Let's discuss it first, and I will show you some differences between the DSLR and an iPhone pictures. But guys, it's end of 2025. It is absolutely possible to use your iPhone as your main and only camera. Bigger camera with proper lens is allowing you to use HDR technique a little bit better and easier. So I'm using my big camera and I'm controlling it from my iPhone or my tablet. It doesn't matter. And it's really quite simple. I will show you exactly how it works. So HDR blending technique is probably what you should be considering using, taking 5 pictures of every single shot that you're taking on a tripod, okay? And then no matter what hardware you use, you need to learn absolute basics about framing, geometry, and photography, and understanding some basics about base parameters like ISO, exposure, shutter speed, and aperture. Cool. I'll be diving in all of those in a second momentarily. For DSLR, you always need a tripod, okay, period. You need a tripod. I have a cheapest tripod and it's good enough. Well, it's not the cheapest, but it's cheap when compared to what I know other professionals are using. And you don't need to have anything super fancy for real estate photography. You need to have something that you can adjust on the spot quite easily. And this tripod gives it to me. For an iPhone, you can have an iPod. You can have a tripod if you want to do HDR. With iPhones these days, you have a lot of potential doing manual pictures, and you can adjust your exposure as well. And you can grab pictures to then do HDRs out of them in post-production. And the end effect will be shockingly good, to be honest. It will be shockingly good. iPhones these days are like, new Pixels, new Samsungs, whatever, like, new flagship phones. They are so good, it's unbelievable. They're still not as good as, 10 years old DSLRs with a proper lens, but they are very good for the size, I tell you that. Okay, so let me show you a few shots of an iPhone versus a DSLR. So look at this bedroom, for example. So this is shot with a cheap DSLR. Okay, so you can see that this is like, focused on the pillow, and it's soft on the back, and it's like not overly oversaturated. It's quite a pleasant picture to look at. Okay, now this is an iPhone picture, and you can see that you can cheat with the depth of field on an iPhone, a newer one, and it looks almost like too crisp where it should be and too soft where it shouldn't be. I find it a little bit too artificial, too colorful, too saturated, and it's just not too good to me, right? Now this is a DSLR. Don't judge the room. This is like one of our first designs. Nothing fancy about it, but just look at the general soft and quality feel. Okay, this picture must have been taken like, I don't know, like 3 years ago. Now an iPhone equivalent picture. So look, there is too much color. It's too crisp. It's too heavily post-produced by a phone. This is like pretty much no post-production, just like, HDR blend. And an iPhone, it's too unrealistic. Okay, DSLR shot number 3. Again, it's quite soft, quite pleasant. And a similar shot with actually, I don't have similar shots with an iPhone. And this is like, with DSLR as well. By the way, I don't think you can capture a picture like this with an iPhone without doing a HDR and having a proper know-how about how to use your mobile photography equipment. This is a definition of what can be achieved with DSLR. Like it's perfect, right? It's absolutely perfect. It's smashing. Okay, so iPhone, not too bad. I hope you get the difference between these two. Okay, so now let's move into some theory. I don't want to bore you to death. I'm not even that good at theory myself. But the things that I needed to learn in order to do real estate photography is the exposure triangle, which is a relationship between the aperture, the shutter speed, and ISO that controls how dark or bright your photo is, pretty much. So let's start with the aperture. It's also called the f-stop, and it's the amount of light on the sensor. So lower aperture, it will mean the more blurred background, a better low light performance, and it can lead to overexposure in well-lit environments. So let me just give you a quick practical example here. So the aperture is the f-stop. So it means like you have like f1.4, f1.2, f2.0, f2.8, f4. And the lower the f-stop is, the better the low light performance of your lens. And when you have like a very low f-stop, very low aperture, like f1.2, and you put something in front of you and you grab a picture of that, then everything in the back will be extremely blurred. It's sometimes desirable, but very rarely it's desirable in real estate. So really there's like super low f-stops. They don't matter that much in real estate photography. And it's also very important to say here that the lower the f-stop, the more expensive the lens is. So I was using a lens previously for my like a Wi-Fi journey, and the camera behind the teleprompter was a better low light performance. I was producing more content than now, and it was like f1.4, I think, and it was a zoom lens as well, and it was sustaining f1.4 across all the different zooms. So typically with a zoom lens, the more you zoom in, the lower the f-stop is going to be, because you will be capturing less light on that lens. So it will be less blurred in the background, and it will be lower and lower low light performance the more you zoom in. It wasn't the case with my first expensive lens. Now this lens that I have, it goes between I think 2.8, it starts there, and it finishes when I zoom in at f4, which is all right for real estate, okay? So don't get too crazy with that. But also, ultimately, when you have like a low f, you can have dimmer lights, and you can create this beautiful dramatic pictures Like the light, last picture I've shown you from the terracotta bedroom of the light, it was like, f1.4, I think, and it's difficult to reproduce that with like f2.8, for example. It will not look as good. It will look very good still, but not as good. Okay, now the shutter speed. The shutter speed is, you press the button, so it's how long the sensor is exposed. The slower the shutter speed, the more light comes into the sensor, because it's like you open it and then it captures like everything, the light, and then it closes it, and then you have a picture. So think of it like, high shutter speeds, like it's like it captures the moment, and slower the shutter speed. Imagine like, I don't know, taking a picture of moving cars in the middle of the night from the bridge. You will do it at lower shutter speed because you want to capture more light on your sensor in order for the picture to be of a higher quality. But you will also see like motion blur. You will see the lights of the cars being like, like lines. It's shutter speed, okay? Then the ISO is sensor sensitivity. So when you grab a picture on low ISO, you will have no noise, okay? Or your digital noise will be so low you will not see it, okay? So think of it like, a dark corners of the room captured on low ISO. If it's a well-lit room and you have a good, aperture, low aperture on your lens, then it will look very good, okay? But then if you have cheaper lenses and higher aperture, like you don't have f1.2 anymore, you have f4, that's where you start, then you will have to probably light it up a little bit, and you typically would do that with an ISO. But bumping up an ISO, it doesn't mean that your picture is lighter and it looks better, period. Yes, it will be lighter, but you are lighting it up artificially, and the noise in the corners, it will become more apparent. So pretty much the higher the ISO, the higher the noise. So typically in real estate, since all the areas are quite well lit, you would probably have ISO set statically to like 200 or 400, whatever your camera allows, and only bump it up to 800 or 1600 when it's really, really dark. Okay, cool. So that was the aperture, f-stops, shutter speed, how long the sensor is exposed to light, and ISO, which is sensor sensitivity. I hope you get what we've discussed so far. Now, let's talk about, in DSLRs, you have this like a big wheel on the top, typically. Pretty much in everyone, you will have that. It's called the PASM, okay? And the PASM, it's a P for program, S for shutter priority, A for aperture priority, and M for manual. And the first question you will ask yourself is, what mode to use for real estate photography? And the short answer is, use A, aperture priority. So you control depth of field manually, but all else is auto, okay? All else is auto. So I can change my f-stop, so I can tell my camera to use f1.4 or bump it up to f4 or f8. And sometimes you want to have access to this parameter to create a different vibe in your photo. What do I mean by this? If I'm capturing an off the tripod, a zoomed in detail, like a small lamp, small accessory that I want to show on the picture, I probably want to have low aperture, so f1.2 for example, to have this object in a proper how do you call that? So it's in focus, and everything else is soft behind it. Conversely, if I'm capturing an open room where I want everything to be in focus, I'll probably switch the aperture to 8. So yes, I will be capturing less light, so I will probably have to have my shutter being opened for a little bit longer, but it's absolutely not a problem because nothing in this room moves and my camera is on the tripod and I'm not touching it because I'm controlling it with my iPhone or my iPad, and then I will have everything in focus. So depending on what you want to achieve, you will configure it differently. Now, let's quickly discuss the other programs. So P program. This episode is brought to you by Zen Properties, where we turn stress into success and bricks into passive income. We develop, convert, and add serious value to property projects across the UK, from HMOs to serviced accommodation. If you're a private investor looking for a solid return, we offer 11 to 15% annual interest, fully assets backed, and with all legal costs on us. And if your business wants to get in front of a fast-growing property audience, you can sponsor an episode just like this one. Find us on zenproperties.uk. Aperture and shutter speed are auto-selected. Aperture ring is ignored. ISO is either manual or auto. You can choose. You never use that program. Then S is shutter priority. Adjust shutter speed manually, and all else is on auto. I don't really need to adjust shutter speed manually in real estate. I want to adjust aperture manually to have a different depth of field, but I don't give a shit about shutter. It's like I will let my camera decide it. And then the last one is manual. And then, yes, I know you want to be pro, you want to set everything manually, but the reality is you don't need it. Like, no one uses manual anymore. These cameras these days are so good. You really will suck more than your camera would when it comes to setting up your ISO manually every time. So actually, this can be set to like 200 or 400, set and forget. But then the shutter speed, aperture, white balance, all this shit, you need to adjust every single picture, and that becomes pain in the ass very quickly. So I would just say that manual should be used for proper beginners to understand the triangle, the exposure triangle, and nothing else. Because in the real world, you want to like come in fast. Well, don't be as fast as those shitty photographers that come over and capture your 4-bedroom property pictures in 30 minutes. No, not that fast, but like a day on site, fast is fine. On manual, you will either grab not enough pictures or you will spend a week on site. Okay, and the next is white balance. A very, very, very important parameter. So that will depend actually more on your manufacturer of your body in your camera. I'm using Lumix because I don't know. I've always like used Panasonic, Lumix. I like Lumix. They have very good lenses. It's not massively expensive. It is cheaper. Like the second-hand Lumix will be cheaper than Canon. It will be cheaper than Sony. And honestly, like the manufacturer, it really doesn't matter. Yes, you might have like, Sony will have a better performance when it comes to video and focus. Canon will have fucking something else. But I don't care about any of that, okay? Because like it's also static. You don't care about any of these bells and whistles. All you need to have is a good quality sensor and good quality lens. And it really doesn't matter what the manufacturer is. But sometimes you have to adjust your white balance. And with Lumix, I need to adjust it more to like auto on a cool side. So I'm using auto/cool. So it's a little bit cooler. It takes off, it doesn't take from the saturation, but the whites on the picture, they are more going into cold white rather than warm white. So it looks a little bit more like bluish and less yellowish. Lumix, I found, has a tendency to make your pictures more yellow, more saturated, too warm, and it doesn't look too fresh on this picture. So for real estate, you probably want these pictures to, like the white to be white and not white to be like, like a warm white. It looks like a fucking magnolia on the wall. You don't want that. So choose whatever makes sense for your manufacturer, but it needs to be inviting white, like think of a heaven white, all of it. Now hardware. Whew, we're smashing it for the podcast. Now hardware, body types. So when you want to buy an equipment for real estate photography, you will have to make a decision about the body type. And you will have two body types there. You have micro four thirds called the MFT versus full frame. Of course, full frame is like what the real professionals use. Full frame is expensive. It's big, it's heavy. Its lenses are probably like 30% bigger than MFT. MFT, micro four thirds, is a smaller camera when compared to full frame. And it also acts a little bit differently because the sensor is closer to the lens, and therefore, optically, when you are using, for example, 25 millimeters aperture on your lens in MFT body, this will be an equivalent of 50 mils in full frame. Okay, so full frame cameras, guys, they will have typically at the same zoom, so like 25 millimeters set on a lens, you will see way less with a full frame camera. So for example, when I'm happy having, I don't know, like 18 to 25 mils zoom lens on MFT, I would probably need to have like 8 to 20, 8 to 16, something like that in a full frame camera. And also, like, the depth of field is working differently on MFT, smaller cameras, versus full frame. So MFT, let's say, of lens, MFT lens of f1.4 delivers the depth of field of f2.8, double the depth field on the full frame versus MFT. What it means in practice? It means that you can have a cheaper lens with higher f-stop, with higher aperture on a full frame camera to deliver the same performance as in MFT camera. But the reality is, like, since typically in real estate you want to have everything in focus or almost in focus, then aperture, it's not as important, and the amount of light that these lenses capture, it's really not as important as well in MFT versus full frame in real estate. So MFT is still perfectly fine. So yes, full frame has softer bokeh effect, so it will be more softened on the back versus MFT using a similar lens. You will see narrower field of view with full frame, so you will need to have like lower width. Well, yeah, lower width, and also full frame is cheaper. Well, MFT is cheaper. It's way cheaper. So MFT, I've done some calculations, and I asked my good friend ChatGPT to check the prices between MFT and full frame systems, and MFT is approximately 65% cheaper and 35% lighter than full frame. So the conclusion for real estate, I think, guys, from practicality perspective, is to stick to MFT. So if you would prefer something that is more compact and cheaper and still do the job perfectly well, MFT is fine. If you want to go an extra step and pay more, then full frame is better. But from practical perspective, it doesn't matter. So my bodies that I currently have or had, I had Lumix BGH1, which was a box camera, which is like a cinematic camera that takes perfect pictures as well. That was a very, very good camera. I sold it now because I left full-time employment. That was purchased for me by the employer, but that was too expensive. It was like £1,500 for just a camera, another £1,500 for a lens, and it was insane performance. But I don't think I can see a difference between that expensive camera and the old 7 years old body. I have a GH5 Lumix now, which is also an MFT, similar sensor. I bought it, like, I don't know, like 5 years old, used 2 years ago for less than 500. And then I had a lens that is a second hand, and it really performs perfectly, to be honest, like perfectly. So again, manufacturer doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a flagship for real estate. Cheap old body is enough. So don't overkill it. If your pictures are shit, it's because of you suck and not your body. Body doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Lens matters more than the body at this point in time. If you don't buy a cheap toy, if you buy like a proper body that is not a flagship, like a mid-range that is younger than like 6-7 years, you'll be absolutely fine. But now, speaking of what body to buy, here is what I think personally your body must support for real estate photography. You must be able to use either a remote or an application to work with your camera. Why? Because, like, if you take 5 pictures, you cannot be pressing the button on the camera 5 times, because when the camera sits on the tripod, it will be wobbly bobbly, and if you change the positioning of the camera even by 1/100th of an inch, then HDR will not look good anymore. Okay, so you need to be able to control the camera remotely without touching it. Now, that's probably just the only one requirement that I would think, like a requirement. The other ones are options that are very nice to have. So I would love to have these options. My body doesn't support them. I am looking to buy a better body in the future. There is no rush, but what I would like to have is the ability for my camera to press the button once, or like, press it on my iPhone so the camera does it automatically for me. So I don't have to grab a picture and then change the exposure, grab a picture, change exposure, grab a picture, and do it 5 times for every picture. Currently, I have to do it manually because the range of automatic exposure change while grabbing a picture, I cannot set it to the parameters that I need. So, for example, I'm grabbing my HDR shot in RAW, not JPEGs, not PNGs, it's RAW format, 4:3. And I'm capturing picture number 1 at exposure 0, so as is, then exposure +2, so overexposed, then exposure +4, even more overexposed, then underexposure of -2, and then underexposure of -4. So think of it when I capture like, a clean shot of a window with a sun going through the window. On exposure 0, it will be pretty much white. When it's +2 or +4, it will be 100% just white. But when it's like -2 and -4, I will start seeing details behind that window. And then I will stitch it together, this underexposed, overexposed things in HDR to make the picture look balanced and perfect. So the reason that I cannot use it automatically with my GH5 is I would be able to set it up to take 3 pictures for me at like -3, 0, and 3, but I do not have enough granularity in settings to do -4, -2, 0, 2, and 4. And I've tested it. And these 5 pictures look better than these 3 pictures, okay? The end result is better. So I would love to have that in my camera. If I'm buying a new camera, the successor to mine, like GH6, it supports it, for example. So I could probably sell mine for 300, add £200, and now buy like again 5 years old camera body for 500, 550, whatever, £600 to have that functionality. I just can't be arsed. But all else really doesn't matter. Whew. Now, lenses. Let's discuss lenses quickly. So perfect lenses. I've prepared a list of lenses for you. So I'm talking about MFT mostly, but for those of you that are using full frame, I'll be including both. So you have 2 types of shots in real estate: wide shots and tight shots. Okay, for wide shots, which will be 90% of your shots in real estate, you need to have wide lens. And this lens shouldn't be adding this optical effect where it like rounds stuff around the corners too much. Of course, you can correct it in post-production, but you are losing quality by correcting it in post-production. It's better to capture straight thingies. My lens is guilty a little bit, so it adds a little bit of this, optical fish eye effect when it's on the widest setting, but not to the point where it really bothers me. It takes 2 clicks to correct it in post-production. So for a full frame camera, you would like to have like between 14 to 17 millimeters width. And for MFT cameras, for wide shots, 8-ish millimeters for MFT is more than enough, okay? 14 to 17 for full frame and 8 millimeters for MFT. Now for tighter shots, you will have 35 to 50 millimeters for full frame and 17 to 25 for MFT to have a similar performance. Now aperture for full frame, it's enough to have 2.8 to 4, for example. And for MFT, I would say 1.4 to 2 is a good starting point, okay? Now you will see that I don't hit all these parameters with my lens and it still looks killing. But ideally, if you can afford it, go for that. So again, wide shots in MFT around 8 millimeters starting point. Tighter shots in MFT 25 mils typically will be enough for real estate. And aperture, anything between 1.4 to 2 to start with should be desirable. If it's like 2.8, which I think I have, it's still good enough. Now you can use polarizer filter. You could see it especially in the professional pictures that my professional friends were taking. The walls were reflecting a lot of lights, and the floors were reflecting a lot of lights. Potentially, theoretically, if you use a polarizer filter on top of your lens, it kills unwanted reflections and makes sky more blue. And just, I'm doing all of that in post-production, but it's possible to have a polarizer filter on your lens, so you don't have to do it in post-production. Now let's discuss what lens I've used personally and what I think is great for real estate. I've tested quite a few of lenses, but I landed on two. First, I had the lens with my expensive camera. It was Leica DG Sumilux between 10 to 25 millimeters with continuous f1.7, which is unreal for a zoom camera of between 10 to 25 mils. It's great. It's great. So this lens, this Leica DG Sumilux 1025 at f1.7 is effectively a 20 to 50 mil f3.4 from the full frame world. Okay, so 1025 in MFT is 20 to 50, double in full frame. And f1.7 in MFT is f3.4 with full frame. Now I sold it because it's too expensive and I couldn't afford it back then. I bought a cheaper lens that I stayed with, and even though I probably would be able to buy a more expensive one, I don't think I need to. So now I'm using Panasonic Lumix 8 to 18 millimeters, which is a little bit wider than the previous lens. Previous one was 10 to 25, but now f. So aperture f-stop is a little bit lower. It's f2.8 to 4, where I would personally recommend like f2 to start with. This is a little bit higher, which is, I don't know, it's like it still doesn't bother me. If I want to have like a soft bokeh effect, I can still have it at f2.8. It's not the end of the world. It's good enough. The lens is small, it's light, it's good quality, and I bought it for less than £500. So what else can you want from a lens? Yes, I would benefit from having a little bit of better low light performance sometimes, but in 99% of the times it doesn't matter at all. So there we go, guys. That's lenses for you and bodies for you. Now, tripods. What's important in the tripod? First of all, it needs to be stable. So when your expensive-ish camera sits on the tripod, you want to protect that investment. So it must be adjustable in all directions. So it must be possible for you to quickly make it higher or lower, and to level the camera in all directions. Okay, it's important. If your tripod is difficult to adjust, that is not a good tripod. If you need to like unscrew something to do something, no, it's already too much work, because you will be adjusting it for every single picture, and it's too much work. It needs to be fast. So my tripod is, I have like a lever, so I can like go up and down, and it's good for 90% of my pictures. Sometimes I adjust legs, but not too often. And then I have like a ball head, so I unscrew the ball head a little bit, and I can adjust by a millimeter in every direction and screw it back. And I can see the level in my Lumix camera, and Lumix camera level is actually very good. Then I like zoom in with my manual zoom on the lens to make sure that I have geometry, like all the walls are properly straight and I have just straight lines. Important. Now, the tripod that I have is Neewer, Neewer, portable camera tripod for travel, vlogging, professional, whatever. Freeway, swivel, pan head, bag, blah, 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 blah. And I had a head, so I can take my camera. This is my camera that I use for real estate photography. I have a head with an attachment plate on both my tripod and on my teleprompter. So I just unclip my camera, 1, 2, and attach it to the tripod, job's done. You probably want to have the same. If you don't have to attach or detach your camera frequently, that I do, then it really doesn't matter for you. But the tripod, the cheap, newer portable camera tripod for travel is enough. I will be dropping all this stuff in the show notes, by the way, on our website. So if you want to have a list of all this equipment and where to buy it from, it will be there. Now, flash. You might ask me, what flash do you use? It's very complicated because I don't use flash at all. You don't need to use flash. Please do not use flash, because it just adds a lot of complexity and it doesn't solve anything for HDR photography in real estate. Now, settings on my particular camera, on Lumix GH5, it's very, very similar to what I was using in Lumix BGH1. And I am using a photo mode. I am using from PASM A mode, so aperture priority, so I can change my F. I'm using static ISO of 200, 90% of cases, and 400 if it's really dark outside. Automatic cold white balance. I use 2 seconds shutter delay. So if I sometimes press the physical button without my phone, I want my tripod to stop wiggling. And so I press the button and it's like 1, 2, and then it takes the shot. And then I show my frame center. So I have like an X in the middle, and I see two lines, vertical and horizontal, to be able to level it more easily. And I see the level on the screen as well. And I would like to automatically grab 5 pictures at different exposures, -4, -2, 0, 2, and 4. Now I cannot do that, so I grab a picture, adjust an exposure on my iPhone application, and grab another picture. It adds, I don't know, like, 5 seconds per HDR per scene. It's not deal breaking, it's just annoying. Okay, so this bracketing, this automatic bracketing, it's called the exposure bracketing or auto exposure bracketing, AEB, I think Sony calls it. And then capture pictures in 4:2 RAW format, no JPEG, no PNG. And that's probably it, guys. That's probably it. So again, photo mode, A mode, ISO 200, auto white balance, sometimes on the colder side, shutter delay, show level and center, and automatically grab with exposure bracketing 5 different photos at exposure of -4, -2, 0, +2, and +4. That's it. Now, taking peaks tips. Taking peaks tips. Prepare the house. So I know it's obvious, but you've paid your cleaners to prepare your house. Whatever you do the development, you do the service accommodation, residential, HMO, doesn't really matter. And you arrive to the site and it's dirty as fuck. Yep. So pretty happened to me like 12 times, and I've done real estate photography for 12 properties. 12 times. Okay, I had to like take a wipe and clean my windows, sometimes like do a last wipe of the surfaces, so you can see all this shit in the pictures, okay, typically. So please be careful and prepare it properly. So final wipe, stage the property, kitchen taps not straight at a slight angle, all cords for the shutters, for the blinds, they must be untangled. All throws done perfectly, pillows done perfectly, and then you have, I learned it from fucking Cameron Diaz from like a Christmas movie 10 years ago. You put a pillow on the bed, and then you do like a slash in the middle, like a fucking ninja, and then the pillow, it looks better. It has like better corners, and all the details must be perfect. Okay, so think of Zen, everything in the center, in all paints. It must be perfect, because it might trigger OCD guys like me when you look at not perfect pictures where things are not aligned perfectly, the geometry is broken, it's wrong. And you might want to make the space look like someone is living there. I'm not too fast about it now, I was, but you sometimes like people are putting a croissants and an orange juice and a wine or whatever. I don't think it's needed, because like I've seen it like people doing it in contractor space service accommodation, but like in higher end real estate, which we do, I don't think it's required, because your property is interesting enough without all of this bullshit. Now, another very, very important tip is to follow the sun. Follow the sun. It's very important. That is why I always allocate the entire day on site, and I look at the weather forecast. I want to be there, if possible, when it's the sunny weather. Sunny weather is very important. Best pictures are taken when the artificial light is taken off, okay? Artificial light switched off, with sun coming through the window. Then it looks absolutely best. Okay, sometimes of course you have these ambient lights that you want to showcase, turn them on, but then you will have a mismatch between the color temperature coming from the outside and your artificial lights on the inside. But thankfully, guys, it's an easy fix in post-production. Now, without any sun, when it's like gloomy, so we're living in the UK, which is 99% of the time, you will need to turn on all the lights, and that's where your pictures will start to struggle a little bit. You can still make it like 9 out of 10, but you will not be able to make it 10 out of 10. Thankfully, in post-production, you can even drop a fucking artificial sun on your pictures, so that's a great feature for the UK residents out there. Now, use the tripod for all more difficult shots, exposure-wise. So grab at least 3 peaks, but ideally 5. So grab -4, -2, 0, 2, and 4, and combine it into HDR in post-production. Shooting height. Inside, it will be between typically 1 and 1.5 meters, so waist or chest height. Outside, it will be as high as the tripod can go. If you have a tripod that goes at 2 meters, fantastic. Mine goes into like 1.5 meters, and it's all right. That's the only picture where I angle my camera up a little bit. I'm fine. I can live with that. Now, in the kitchens, it's a little bit different, because you want to have it just above the worktop high, but not too low, so you don't see on the under of the upper kitchen cabinets too much. So you don't want to have your upper cabinets bottoms to be overwhelming in the picture. You want to frame it just right, so it's just like, probably like somewhere in the middle between the worktop and the bottom part of the top cabinet in the kitchen, so it looks more structured, okay? And yeah. Righty, in bedrooms, you want to have a camera a little bit lower than in the kitchen, so it will be just above the bed surface level. Not too low, but not too high as well. If it's too high, then you're losing the vibe of like being close to this, cozy bed. And also you will have too much ceiling and not enough floor. If it's too low, then the bed will be overwhelming. In bathrooms, typically just above the basin level is perfect. So you want to be able to just see inside the basin, okay? But not higher than that, so there is an exception. If your bathroom is extremely small and shitty, you might want to do like widest and put your camera on the tripod in the corner and position it up, like look up at an angle, and then you capture the entire bathroom, even if it's super small. And that's probably the only picture that I would do inside that has not perfect geometry. Speaking of geometry, let's spend like a minute or two talking about composition. Extremely amazing tips, very, very important. For geometry, you need to have straight lines and face shots, like straight lines and face front shots. In example, when you do a shot of the kitchen, you want to grab two types of pictures. One is like dead on, like straight on, so we can see the picture, and everything in this wall in front, everything is straight, horizontally and vertically. Everything is straight, okay? Everything, 100%. And then another picture, like go to the other side of the room and grab the kitchen diagonally, or bedroom, whatever, diagonally. But then you need to show 3 visible walls or 2 visible corners, always, okay? Always. And also, like your vertical lines, they have to be 100% straight, not a little bit wobbly bubbly. They must be freaking straight. If it's not, then it's a wrong shot. So even if it's at an angle, your horizontal lines will no longer be straight, but your vertical lines, they always have to be straight. So again, geometry, when dead on, you can see just one wall. Typically, you will see one wall and then 2 on the side, a little bit visible. When you do corner shots, then 3 walls or 2 corners must be visible. So the wall just about, the wall closest to the camera, then the opposite wall, and then the wall on the right as well, okay? Always, always, always. Then symmetry. If you catch a part of something in your frame on one side, so for example, I'm grabbing a photo of my studio and I grab a little bit of my window, I need to have this, a little bit of something else, a little bit of the door frame to counter it, so it doesn't look like I have something in the middle, then something on the right and nothing on the left. So be careful with your symmetry, okay? Then, important. And typically what I grab typically, 3 to 4 pictures per bedroom, 2 of corners, 1 straight beds, and 1 detail like desk, plant, whatever. 2 to 3 pictures per kitchen, 1 in the corner, 1 in the straight, and 1 detail, typically. 5 to 6 pictures per living room, so 4 corners, and 1 straight and 1 detail. So think of 4 corners, easy, then 1 straight, like a TV with PlayStation, and, behind the sofa bed, so you can see where you're sitting and playing PlayStation. And then 1 detail, so think of, I don't know, like a detailed shot of a pool table, for example. That's what I would do for the living room. A bathroom, 1 to 2 pictures, typically 1 wide is typically right, and 1 detail if you want. 4 to 5 pictures of the garden, showing like 2 of the hot tub, 1 or 2 of the entire space for the outdoor living, and 1 detail. Details like close-up of the water, of the hot tub, nice and blue and inviting, and showing like some soft lights in the background. It looks amazing. 1 to 2 pictures of the outside building is enough, and 1 to 2 pictures of the hallway landing is typically okay. Cool. So not too many. By not too many, I mean when I do 4-bedroom, I grab close to 1,000 pictures. But then it's like really 200 because they are HDRs. Out of this 200, I will discard, 150 and keep 50. Software. So we are almost done. Wow. Okay, software. Old and hardcore. If you're old and hardcore, you can use Adobe, of course. Like most people, they use Adobe Suite. It's getting easier to use. I was using it for years, and my God, it's so big. So you have to switch between different applications. You have Lightroom, you have Adobe Photoshop. It's too much. Okay, it's too much. It's way too complex. And now, thankfully, we are living in the AI era, so you can use applications like I'll show you in a second, like Luminar Neo, which is like heavily AI backed, and it really works. Okay, I would never look back. It costs like I don't know, like a £69 a year or £199 a year, something like that. But in my opinion, for that money, you have an amazing software that makes it easy, simple, and fast to work with your pictures, and it's absolutely amazing. Okay, Luminar Neo would be my pick today for post-prod. That's the only tool that you need for post-prod, in my opinion. So post-prod, let's quickly talk about the flow, about the order of things when it comes to post-production. So we've captured 5 raw pictures per site, per scene at -4, -2, 0, +2, and +4 exposure. I import the folder to Luminar Neo. I will show it to you in a second, by the way. You combine the raw pictures into HDRs. You can do it in bulk. So if I have 1,000 pictures, I will create 200 HDRs with 2 clicks of a mouse. I will remove unwanted pictures that I know that are shit. I will remove the lens distortion from all the pictures. So I see like what pictures are taken by at the widest shot, and I just apply lens distortion correction to all of them in batch. So I do it once and not 200 times. Then I will crop and rotate. So sometimes like you do your best to have perfect lines, but sometimes you have a perfect shot, but it's a little bit skewed. So I will adjust the geometry, and I can do it in the crop and rotate tool. Exposure, typically for Airbnbs especially, I will add 0.25 to 1 to 1 stop of exposure to brighten up the HDR shot, but not everywhere. I will not do it around the windows, so I will brighten up everything, and then I will exclude windows, for example, from brightening it up because it will overexposure my windows. Exactly what I want to not do. And then I will adjust colors. So typically I will desaturate it a bit to make whites more white and less magnolia. And it also unifies the artificial lights colors, okay? Artificial lights warmth. So that's quite helpful. I will adjust temperature. So typically I will remove some warmth. I will make it colder, not warmer, colder. Make it a bit cooler. Whites will pop, and it unifies artificial lights temperature even further. Then I will adjust light. So I will add a light source, maybe like a sun, or I will add this this super special effect where the lights they pop more. So you have like a star coming out of the light. It looks quite cool. You can do that. And I'll replace the sky in outdoor shots. Don't kill me for it, but I probably would, especially in the UK. Today, I could be tempted. It's a blue sky, but it's a blue sky with no clouds. So it's a little bit boring. I would probably replace the sky. It's one click of the picture. Add artificial sun if extra gloomy. I would remove imperfections, so like scuffs from the walls, water bottle if you forgot to take it from the scene, I would remove that. And then finish all the pics. Then I would go and check again from first to last picture to ensure that they all feel the same. So I probably will have to go through this like from first to last picture like 5 times or 3 times before I'm fully satisfied. So now I will have like a shot of the room that is like nice and light. Then I thought that the next shot of the same room is nice and light, but actually it's darker. So I'll have to add some exposure and like play around with it. So it's good. Now let me show you the Luminar Neo application in action, guys. So I have prepared for you 2 quick pictures. So first I have one terracotta room picture. So I'm selecting all 5 and I'm just like putting them into HDR merge. I'm clicking merge, continue, and then I have a HDR picture created for me. And now look at that. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So I have some distortion of the lens, but now it's not like oversaturated. It's quite nice. I will hit edit and go to develop and go to optics, and look at that lens distortion. Look what's happening with the picture. And now it's perfect. 58 is a sweet spot for me. Now look at that. Then I will do crop. So I want to check if it's like perfect, and it's close to perfect. I'm adding like, 0.3 of a degree to make it perfect. I don't need to crop it. It's like the scene looks good. And then back to develop, I will do exposure, and I will probably add like 0.5. Now look, this is like before the adjustments. This is after the adjustments. You can see the optics is corrected. It's lighter and more pleasant to look at. And probably with this picture, I wouldn't do much more. So I would export it somewhere, and that's it. This picture is done. Now, let's go back to the catalog. I want to add this, and I'll select this picture. Now, look, this is picture taken like in a rainy day in Cotswolds, like last week. That's a picture of the site. Now, look what we are gonna do with this. There is no lens distortion because it's an iPhone picture, iPhone 16 Pro, not even 17. And I will go to edit and look at that first. Just by looking at it, I will add more exposure. Okay, more exposure. Probably like, I don't know, 1. So the house, just focus on the house. Forget about the sky. It's a little bit too much, so maybe like 0.9. So I don't want the house to be overexposed massively. So I haven't lost much details from the house, but it looks way more inviting, doesn't it? And now look at this madness. Look at this madness. Sky selection, all skies. Oh my God, blue sky. Okay, cool. I'm just clicking and like, look at this. This is after, this is before. After, before. So before, gloomy, rainy freaking sky and dark building. And after, I have a beautiful blue sky, beautiful clouds, and a nice light building. I'm done. Okay, do that in Photoshop in 2 clicks. See what I mean? 69 a month. It's absolutely crazy. So that was a quick post-production that I wanted to show you, which is every time I'm working with Luminar Neo, my mind is blown, okay? My mind is blown. And boys and girls, we are pretty much at the end of the podcast, so thank you very much for staying with me. Maybe let's do a quick conclusion. So, quick conclusion, use simple, practical tips about composition, 2 corners or 3 walls when you do like a corner shot, and correct height, everything perfectly level. Always perfectly level, except for like a tight spaces like bathrooms, or when your tripod doesn't go to the middle of the building, you will have to position your camera up, okay? MFT versus full frame. MFT is okay if on a budget. Even if you're not on a budget, you are just a lazy motherfucker like me and you don't want to carry a heavy, massive equipment. My entire kit, it fits into a box like this. I take it with me. I attach small tripod. My tripod, when it's fully closed, is like this, and it just like attaches to this small little bag. I'm done. Okay, I love it. Then use A for aperture priority in PASM mode. Use lowest manual ISO settings for most of the shots. Sometimes go higher up when it's really gloomy. Use auto on the cool side, white balance for the real estate. Don't use flash. Use HDR blending instead. Use Luminar Neo to do all the post-production. Now grab 5 pictures of every scene, add -4, -2, 0, 2, and 4 exposure compensation, and then combine them into a HDR. Now do it automatically if you can. If you cannot, manual is fine, but control it through the app so you don't touch the camera so it doesn't wobble, okay? Control it through the app. And then simply post-prod that shit using modern tools. Adjust composition, then basics like exposure, optics, light, colors, temperature, and then focus on bells and whistles. And that is everything I have prepared for you guys. So again, thank you very much. Now, if you would like to help us out a little bit, like and subscribe to the channel. We will not have too many episodes like this where we talk about technical stuff. We are technically talking more about real estate and business and scaling business and outsourcing business and building wealth through real estate, especially in the UK. So this is one-off, but I thought it would be quite interesting for some of you out there, especially for passionate people about photography like me. And yeah, and simply like I hope that you had some fun. Okay, and just come to our website, guys, zenproperties.uk, and you will find many interesting things there. Like if you are an investor or you would like to sponsor a podcast, or if you would like to attend our site tour where we walk on a real site together, showing you around, giving you some, our secrets, know-hows, and you can like go around and touch things, then please register on the website. And that's it. That's everything from me this week. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll have Christmas special with XP Property Boys. So that probably is the best podcast episode, like in 2 weeks' time, that we will have released. It will be about PD development conversions. So stay tuned for that. And thank you so much. Love you from the bottom of my heart.